You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
You don't know about the other side of the pyramid? The fifth side? It's called the floor, you dumbass. I just want to make sure he realizes there is a fifth side to the pyramid.
And once you open your fucking mind of undefeated goddamn fairness.
I know all of them, and I believe none of them, which makes me an expert. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult. This is your host, Chris Morrison. I'm with the executive producer of the Something Good For You Network and my co-host in the Coach Potatoes. Soon we may have merch. Soon.
Yes, very soon. Very soon.
Welcome back, Alex.
Hey!
Today we'll be discussing a kind of a fun conspiracy. The Denver International Airport. I know that doesn't have a great ring to it like Bigfoot or is Jim Jones an alien, but the Denver International Airport is probably one of the coolest hubs for conspiracy going into it. Now, Alex, you've recently done some research on the Denver International Airport.
Well, so here's the fun thing about it. So, like, every time you and Quinn talk about doing, like, an episode of one of these, or, like, you know, you even bring it up to me being like, hey, do you want to discuss so-and-so? At some point in time, I've done research on it. But there's also a lot of music that happens and a lot of stress and a lot of marijuana. So at some point, I do forget the finer details of a lot of these conspiracy theories. So yes, I was doing a quick rewatch and a quick recap on some of these. It's literally like the greatest hits package of conspiracy theories. So it's like, if you liked the Aliens album, if you liked the World War II album, if you like, you know, this, that, and the other, get the greatest hits package where you get a little bit of everything. That's really what the Denver International Airport in the end is.
Yeah.
And a lot of deniability.
Yes, there's a lot of conspiracy going around the Denver International Airport, the DIA. I'll just refer to it as that from now on.
Yeah, same.
A lot of syllables.
The airport.
The airport, yeah. The big D.
The big D.
Yeah, so going into the beginnings of the airport. Long ago, back when there was real regulation on airplanes, back when flying was cool and you could smoke and wear a suit.
I know.
And no one took their fucking shoes off and put them on your fucking armrest.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah. Back in the day, you get your ass thrown off a goddamn plane mid-flight.
You don't pull that shit. Now people are too...
Yeah.
Not enough people have gotten their asses handed to them, and they just feel like they can really just do whatever they want to do.
But during the time of, you know, great air travel, a big part of you know, airlines was TWA and Pan Am. Pan Am and TWA would fight constantly over routes of where you could fly to. There was a big thing going on in Congress at the time called the Airline Deregulation Act, which it deregulated the airlines to where multiple bigger airlines could function independently from the government.
Right.
So what happened was they came in and swooped down and bought all these little airlines, all these little airports. Because at one point in America, you could just buy a plane and fly it.
Yeah.
And fly it to a little airport and fly it to another little airport. And like that was like the streamlined thing to do. And then people were like, yeah, that's kind of fucking dangerous. Let's stop doing that. And then the bigger airlines like, yeah, it is dangerous. Let's keep people from buying airplanes and let them buy from us. And so they swooped in, bought all these little airlines, and then international travel became fucking huge because the planes got bigger. A good example of this is the DC-10. DC-10 was the largest airplane at one time. And fun fact, it's part of Scientology in a weird fucking way.
Are we going to touch that as an episode?
It's going to be a 5-part episode. We're going to catch one, and we're going to keep it. We're going to ask him some questions, and when he's done crying and answering, we'll go on to the next episode. when we catch a Mormon.
Oh my God.
But
Well, they'll just come right to your house.
yeah, they come. Yeah, fucking holy rollers show up all the time in Charlotte.
Oh, dude, all the damn time.
I remember we had 2 holy rollers come up to our place in WTR Boulevard, and like it was 2 girls, and they knocked on the door, and it was a fucking Saturday morning, and I'm just like, I look like shit, I feel like shit, and we didn't have furniture in the living room, so when I opened the door, they're just like, yes, this is a house that makes drugs. I would have offer you to sit on the floor, but you're not Muslim, so I don't think you'd like that. So the international airport situation was New York, Los Angeles, and there was nothing really in between. And when the planes started getting bigger, Denver had a problem. Denver would host these planes coming in an airport called Stapleton Airport. Well, when the planes got bigger, the people complained. Much like where I used to live in Statesville, there was an airport, and the planes started getting bigger. And at post 9/11, you start worrying about shit like that. So going into it, they decide to the council in Denver decide to 86 the Stapleton Airport and build an international hub. Well, at the time, this idea would have made it the biggest international airport at that time with the plans they had laid out. They had called for a $900 million investment. And what ended up happening is by the mid-'70s, when everything was said and done, it cost a little shy of $3 billion. So they went over by like $2 billion in budget. And a lot of things were happening too. What people don't understand is there's a large structure underneath the airport, and adding to the conspiracy part of it, we'll get into later, it really becomes a big part of it.
Right.
Another part of the airport is its shape. No other airport at this time and currently doesn't hold the same shape as the airport. If you look at the Denver International Airport, it looks like a giant swastika. And they said during that time it was to easily bring airplanes in and out. So planes could come in and fly out at the same time. Architects from all over were saying, mainly because this was the 70s and Nazi fervor was still a thing going on.
Now real quick, you kept mentioning the time periods. You're way off on the decades.
Yeah.
So a lot of the planning was done in the mid 80s, and ground was broken on September of 89 for an opening in the 90s.
Yeah. The plans for the swastika shaped airport came out in 1979. And it took them a decade to build this goddamn thing. And that's because of all the planning and the budget concerns. So they kept going over budget and over budget. By the time everything was said and done, by 1989, this was the second largest airport in the nation.
Yeah, that was the day that ground was broken. That was the day it began construction, and they began everything.
But when they planned it in 1979, in the original planning, there was because the thing about airports is you have to submit it for public viewing, so people can understand where they live in comparison to a giant international airport.
Yeah, and that was approved in 88.
Yeah, so when the original plans dropped, a lot of people in Denver were like, what the fuck is this? Why is it shaped like this? And why is it so close to my motherfucking house? Because they built it near standing structures of homes. They've been near little urban communities.
Yeah.
And the thing about Denver is it doesn't get urban sprawl until the mid 80s, while the construction and everything, pre-construction. But Stapleton International Airport became the international airport in the plans. So that was also a problem. Like, you couldn't make these people in Denver fucking happy. It's just like, you don't get it. You guys are in the middle of the fucking country. You're the halfway point for LA and New York.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up. We'd go to Kansas City and do it. Make them fucking big. Make the Chiefs the shit again. But it's funny how that kind of thing works out. When you want to be a big city and complain about having big city shit.
It happens all the damn time.
Yeah. By the time ground was broke, that's when the real plans came out. So it wasn't so much the shape of the airport after that. It was also what was underneath the goddamn airport.
Yes. That was the thing that I've noticed that a lot of these conspiracies hinge on is a lot of the underground tunnels, and the tunnels lasting a lot longer than they say, and only having clearance for certain levels, like even past maintenance workers and cleanup crew only had, access to specific levels, and they did not have clearance, to reach other ones.
Another thing is, the guy who designed the airport literally said this when he debuted, like his idea of what he wanted to do with the airport. He wanted a century of conveyor belts to move your bags conveniently from the strip to you inside the airport fast.
Right.
No different than the tunnels under Disney World to move people, maintenance, and characters to all over the park very quickly. Hey, where did Snow White go? I don't know, but there's another one right there. See? There she is. You know why? Because they switch shifts. So it adds to the lore of it because of the way they design the airport. Because
talking about your exact thing, the automated. There's a funny little anecdote. It says in April '94, the city invited reporters to observe the first test of the new automated baggage system. Reporters were treated to scenes of clothing and other personal effects being scattered beneath the system's tracks and carts, and that would also often toss the luggage off of the system. So clearly, it did not work well in its early testing phases.
Yeah, so what happened was a flight had came in, and as a debut thing, it basically catapulted fucking packages or luggage.
Yeah.
And what happened was
there goes your panties.
And what happened was somebody didn't set the speed right because there's a speed variable on it. And
so instead of a lazy Susan, we had a table saw.
So as the conveyor goes up into feeding the plane, which there's a guy in there packing your shit, there's another conveyor going down, unloading a plane. So unloading, they wanted to be fast. Packing, they wanted to be like a normal speed, but some communication happened, and then
or lack thereof.
And so people started catapulting these fucking things at planes. So like they were literally hitting planes with people's bullshit.
I'm just imagining like suitcases and everything else, just bam.
and going into the architect real quick. There's no, like, they add all this conspiracy bullshit to the architect who created this building.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to be found. There's literally nothing wrong with this guy. He's a standard architect. He built airports before. The only weird thing was, and this is not really a weird thing, this is more of a shitty thing, he hired, like, his best friend to build a piece of art for the airport, which is known as Blucifer by the locals.
Yes.
So this giant monstrosity is outside the Denver airport, and it's a cobalt blue with red eyes for some fucking reason. And fun fact, this goddamn horse killed the guy who made it.
Yes.
He died making this.
I was going to say, in the story, he was like trying to get it set up and assembled and like literally fell on him.
So an upper portion of the structure had come dislodged, fell on him, and cut his femoral artery in his leg, and he bled to death. That's not a conspiracy, though. That's happenstance. That's why we have OSHA. It's not a conspiracy that a man was killed by a giant horse that he made.
Yeah,
it's more of a parable that you would hear about Greek mythology. But like, it isn't a conspiracy that it's cursed by the devil. And what gets me is, this is one of those things we've talked about conspiracy before, where you get so many random things associated and people start creating more dots, much like our Paul McCartney episode.
Our most played episode, by the way.
A friend of mine literally messaged me and said they had to stop 40 minutes in because they were choking. So the mental gymnastics you have to do to think that a lot of the similar stuff we'll be talking about are interconnected.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, it's a large municipal international airport. There's so much shit that goes on when making a fucking airport.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. Like when I first heard this when I was younger, I'm just like, it's a fucking airport. How bad? Like, what's the conspiracy about an airport? Like, I understand if you have a fear of flying, you're basically spitting in God's face. You shouldn't do it. And yeah, like, I don't understand it.
Well, as I was joking about earlier, this is kind of like an 80s metal album greatest hits package of your conspiracies and stuff. And you already brought this one up, so let's dig into it. The Blue Mustang. What is the big overarching conspiracy on the evil demonic horse, aside from killing the guy, severing his artery?
Going away from the Exorcist opening of it.
Yeah. And dude, it
is a monstrosity.
It absolutely is going to be the cover art for this episode. Yeah. It's evil looking.
So it is a giant blue Mustang, which, forgive me if I'm wrong, but the the theme of the Denver Broncos is a Bronco, while they didn't make a giant Bronco, is fucking fantastical.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
So with it, there are some like loose, and I mean fucking loose comparisons of it being a satanic moniker to the Church of Satan, stuff like that. The red eyes really fuck with people a lot. And the thing is, when people fly into the Denver airport, that's like the first thing they fucking see.
Oh, as they're entering, like via car, it's like right there at the entrance, dude. It's nuts.
So like it kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with this woman. She flew to Charlotte to work here for a few days, and she said the first thing she noticed was there's a lot of woods flying in when you looked out. I'm like, well, yeah, Charlotte is like a forest city. It is called Pineville for a fucking reason. And it kind of bothered me that it's just like you didn't see the giant signs that said stuff like Pineville or Forest Center and shit like that. But if I was flying to Denver, which I will not, the giant blue horse with red eyes that's reared up like it's going to fucking attack me, yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
It's a little off-putting.
It's a little off-putting. Aside from the giant swastika in the ground, like, the giant blue horse is fucking terrifying. But I love the name the locals gave it, which is Lucifer.
Yes.
The blue Lucifer statue. And I'm just like, how far up your own ass, Denver? You got legal weed. Just have you been smoking that shit so long that you become paranoid of a giant statue? Because before it was legal, they were smoking weed all the time in Denver.
Yeah. I don't know though. It's like if. Look, yeah, I flew a decent amount over the last couple of years doing different, projects and such. Man, if I rolled on into, Nashville Airport and that was greeting me there,
a giant Dolly Parton just trying to reach up at you
with fucking blue tits and red eyes, yeah, I might be a little scared.
I'd be like, are we flying to like a Star Trek themed airport?
And much like all these conspiracies that we talk about, there's, of course, a genuine reason behind everything. Yeah. And I honestly didn't know this until maybe about 2 seconds ago when I pulled it up. But the reason for the red eyes, it was the signature of the artist. Mm-hmm. It says like a number of other animal sculptures by Jimenez. Mm-hmm. I believe that's how you say it. It said the statue has glowing eyes, which he also incorporates with many of his other pieces.
Yeah, Camilo Jimenez.
Yeah. So that's like literally like his signature. That's his look. That's his style that he does. I think it being his largest statue is the one that maybe got him killed.
Now going back to the airport itself.
Yes.
After the $900 million budget, and it came out to $3 billion, just shy of $3 billion when they came out with this luggage throwing airport.
Yeah.
So another thing that pissed off a lot of people was the amount of flights that it could handle. It was speculated that the Denver airport could hold up to about 85 to 95 flights within a certain time period. Well, Stapleton Airport could do 114. So the airport they've abandoned, which they could have added on and made this international airport, actually
decreased.
Yeah, it's a waste of money. Now you're just creating a bigger airport that could do less. So that was a big problem for a lot of people in Denver. It's like now you have two airports that could sizably hold a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But now the new one is kind of shittier. Mm-hmm. So
it's like the remake of a movie.
But another thing that the pro to this is how much jobs it created within the 6 years it took to build the son of a bitch.
Oh God, yes. I literally just looked away from a number. It said the construction employed 11,000 workers.
Yeah, so if you think about that for a city, I'm not talking about just genuine employees. I'm talking about people like construction. You're talking about electricians, wire runners, journeymen, masons, and stuff like that. Concrete, union workers out the ass. And plus you got, you have to do maintenance on airplanes, so then you have to create a whole wing of the airport where it's just maintenance on planes.
At least that's what they want you to believe.
That's what they want you to do. No one knows really how airplanes work. It's probably magic, I'm pretty sure. There's a great YouTube video about a stewardess just losing her shit, telling people to cut their fucking electronics off, and she's like, I don't know how it works. Just shut the fuck up. We're literally spitting in God's eye every time we go up. Do not fucking turn your goddamn cell phone on.
Don't fuck with me.
Don't fuck with me. Do I have to turn my pacemaker off? Yes. Yes.
You will die.
You will die.
Prepare to meet your maker.
And like what kind of adds to the whole thing was it's still the second largest airport in the United States.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, they had a large airport, but not in square footage. They created this one, and it creates less traffic for planes. The only problem with the Stapleton Airport was the larger the plane, the bigger the problem.
Yeah. Because
then you have to tell planes to start circling, and you don't want planes to circle for too long because they'll run out of fuel.
And that's how they create tornadoes.
It's exactly that, and the gays. I'm pretty sure gays create tornadoes. At least that's what I heard when I was younger.
I don't think that'll be an episode.
No. When Chris becomes a bigot. But another part of this is not just the outside of the airport and its lack of, features, but a lot of people had like going back to the shape. A lot of people had a problem with the fucking shape, which I kind of understand.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. After you mentioned that the shape of the construction site is a bit like, that it is a swastika, it took a little bit of looking at it to really see it. But here's the other side of the problem, though. Coming from an analytical brain, this does make sense because you would want these specific angles for landing strips and takeoff. This is technically the most efficient way. So it's like that winds up being difficult.
That was his argument until the guy who designed LaGuardia chirped up and said, no, it's not the most efficient way. I did that years ago. And then he talked about LaGuardia is actually the most efficient way. And it's shaped like giant 2 lightning bolts.
Okay.
But when you're thinking about in and out traffic, that's
and I'm also not schooled in mathematics and project planning either. So to my non-professional eye, I'll look at this and go, yeah, it does kind of look like it. But I mean, if we want efficiency, this might be the route.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just. Oh yeah. Now just Gen Z needs to grab a hold of this. This is casual racism.
Yeah. It probably fucking is. But going into the design of the airport, the inside of the airport was also streamlined than others. So they created whole dining halls. This was supposed to have restaurants. Along with those 11,000 jobs was staff. They created staffing quarters inside the complex. You had 2 towers, 2 functioning control towers, which was kind of not seen up at that time. It was only just one main, but they made a secondary tower. It was just a little bit smaller, but it also hosted a logistics issue for people coming in north and southbound, which was not expected.
So radio signals?
Oh no, planes.
Oh, got it.
So the original idea was, okay, if you're flying from New York to LA, you'd stop over in Denver, catch the next flight, and go. That was the plan. Well, someone said, well, what about Chicago flying south? Okay. Yeah, it was okay. But then they didn't expect the urban sprawl in the southeast, such as Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, and stuff, Austin, Houston, and stuff like that. So when all those cities began creating these giant urban sprawls and building up and became super cities, there was an issue with south inbound planes. So the shape kind of protected itself from that because it's kind of cocked. Like if you looked at it from north and south, it's cocked at an angle. So it can north, south, east, and west is the best way to get into the planes. And it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
The problem is,
there's always a problem.
The problem is, so the complex is so massive. So if you were doing connecting flights and you had to get off the plane, you have to either haul ass to get to the other side, and you have to pray that your luggage wasn't thrown out at the other plane at Mach 7.
Hopefully they fixed this conveyor belt.
Yeah. So you're like, hey, I'm going to New York. I got to go to Chicago. I got to do a layover in Denver. All right, cool. Mile high, baby.
Luggage gets there before you do.
And that's another part of the airport that people don't realize. Denver is a mile high city. It's a mile above sea level. The airport itself has to induce oxygen into the complex that people don't realize because oxygen thins out the higher you are. This added to the conspiracy that gas vents were added to cause hallucinations and stuff like that, which is stupid. Just shut the fuck up. It is. It's no different than what Denver Stadium does.
Yeah.
Where the way it's shaped, it intakes air. So the breezeways, you know what a breezeway is?
Yeah.
All right, so there are breezeways under the Coliseum that feed into a kind of a clockwise spin, which inducts air from the bottom up. So people don't fucking fall out at the top, at the nosebleed section, and don't just fall out at Mile High Stadium and just like, hey, there goes old John Elway, and just like die. And just like die of lack of oxygen. Yeah.
Rolling down the steps.
Yeah, so they figured this kind of problem out a long time ago. But what's really weird, and this is a weird part of it, is the shit that's inside the airport.
Yes, like that. Okay, so we've now talked about the big demonic evil horse on the outside. We've talked about the rather unfortunate shape of the building. But yeah, once you go on the inside, it just gets crazier with Masonic imagery and desolate land art pieces. And most recently, we'll just kind of start with this one because it just really caught my attention and thought it was just very strange. It's one of the more recent things. In March 2019, the airport unveiled an animated talking gargoyle.
Yes.
That interacted with the passengers and joked about the supposed conspiracy theories connected to the said airport.
And I love this because they're leaning into the bullshit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, no, we're not. But let me scare the shit out of you just for a second. And it's a great way to kind of handle, I guess, when you think about conspiracy, it is bad. You know, it is bad publicity in a fucked up way. But, you know, they met it head on, and they've been dealing with it for over 15 years from 2005 when it really kicked off with the whole landscape paintings. But yeah, so like they've been dealing with this for going on 30 years now, as of next year. So
God, that fucked me up when you said that.
Oh man. Wait till we get to like episode 200.
Yeah, I know. But no, one of the other things that I found was that United specifically is really kind of tackling this head on and talking about the Denver conspiracy theories. Now, do you think that this is kind of a smart move on their end to acknowledge it and kind of make it part of the lore? Or do you think it would have been smart for them to just completely pretend they don't even know what the word conspiracy is and act as if nothing is happening?
No, I consider this a very wholesome response. You know, if you got these people in the conspiracy world that yell and kind of overtake the conversation. So these guys were able to meet it, kill them with kindness kind of thing. So,
because you know they've got those damn influencers and YouTube vloggers in there all the time, just walking in just to take photos and everything else and harass workers and try getting in restricted areas and all that crap.
A big part of this is not just getting in front of it. You know, they had years to get in front of it and they chose not to. And we've seen how that works.
And this has literally only been within like the last 2 to 3 years they've now gotten in front of it.
And the fact that United was a part of it, because United doesn't run the fucking airport. It's just one of many airlines that work out of it.
Exactly.
Because another conspiracy is about the Lufthansa airline, which is considered like a satanic Nazi-esque airline, that's another podcast unto itself.
Oh yeah, but that sounds like a full episode.
They got in front of it very quickly because their symbol is a giant golden bird. But with United,
I don't think it's a tribute to a Motorhead record.
Yeah. So, God, that'd be awesome if it was.
I know. I just saw your brain totally drift off for a second. Be like, Motorhead Airlines.
Yeah, fucking Ace of Spades seating. First to die.
I don't want to live forever. Ride Motorhead Airlines.
But with United kind of helping them get in front of it, it really kind of shows like, there's a wholesomeness to this. Hey, all these crazy fucking kids with their stupid ideas. Look, this is what really is. We love that you're, acknowledging all the cool things about the airport. That if you think about like monuments and stuff like that, there's so much little things that get skipped over when you're talking about monuments that kind of get outshined by these people who are yelling, being like, no, that's a Masonic, Satanist, Luciferian, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just shut the fuck up.
Just because something says New World doesn't mean it's New World Order.
Yeah. But like, that also goes into the pyramid of fucking conspiracy, which just ends with Jews. But
calm down, Kanye.
Yeah. Yee. I would love to do a whole conspiracy podcast about that motherfucker.
Oh, that would be fun.
Hey, you remember when his music was okay? I do. He just wouldn't shut the fuck up. But there's probably a conspiracy about Kanye West in the Denver airport, probably, or he probably has one. He's probably said it out loud, and it has the words Jew a lot in it. But with the cool artwork that is in the airport, there is a menagerie of landscape paintings in the airport, and it tells a story. And people focus on the beginning part of it a little too much. So in the story that the portrait is telling is of a great war. And what the imagery they chose was a German soldier with a gas mask with a giant black trench coat holding an AK-47 with a bayonet. And these are aspects of all the wars that we fought: World War I, World War II, and the Cold War. These are three aspects of villains of those wars. Okay, you have the gas mask, which were worn by soldiers in World War I. You have the trench coat and the German helmet from World War II, and you have the AK-47, which is the gun of the Russians of the Cold War.
Right.
And he's carrying a giant saber as well. Yes, it's called a scimitar that he's carrying, which kind of resembles, and if you look at the architecture that's blown out, it has a very, Baghdad look at it. So
very much so.
You're talking about imagery of villains from the last 4 major wars that America has not only been a part of, but have actually helped stop. So
and it's he's got his pride flag behind him too.
So that's the problem with so what you're seeing is the end of peace. That's the end of peace. Yeah. And behind the saber, you can look these images up also. Behind the saber are children and women curled up behind the sword as basically hostages, and then you see a row of death behind that.
Right.
Which is aspects of war. What follows war? Death and famine and plague. So what you're seeing is that's the beginning artwork of this menagerie.
Right.
But by you get to the end,
and the thing is though is I understand where people are kind of coming from on it, because I'm pulling up photos so Chris can be real descriptive, and so I can actually see what he's discussing too. In this photo I brought up, it's literally the painting, but there's like 2 doors beside it. So it's not even like the paintings are kind of staggered and stacked for you to visually look at it. If you were just walking down this corridor, this might be the only painting part that you see, because I don't see any others fully connecting, and it does appear that the final one is much larger.
Yes, so this is the end of the painting. So the story basically tells the rise and fall of humanity.
Right.
The end of this is all the weapons banded together under united flags. The rainbow is complete, meaning a time of peace. The rain is finished.
Yep.
The storm has settled, and all these nations and the children of these nations have come together to stamp out these weapons.
Right.
Over the dead carcass of the villain.
Yes.
And then you see 2 doves, which are the symbols of peace across the world. That's what it's trying to say. Like this is where we can be. This is how it's going to end. Basically, no different from like how the Bible says it ends, where everything ends in peace. So that's all that's saying is this is the artist trying to say that, hey, this is the bad shit, and this is what the bad shit causes. But if we band together, we can stop it.
Yep.
And finito this whole fucking thing. Now, if I'm an aluminum hat wearing conspiracy theorist who eats nothing but tuna sandwiches, I'm going to see this and think, holy shit, it's a multiracial fucking cabal that's trying to kill me.
Or you're just a really big fan of manga and you read it backward.
Yeah. Yeah, the left to right thing it confuses them. But like it is a giant odd piece of art, but it's no different from giant odd pieces of art everywhere else.
Yes, and so something you've just by happenstance kind of mentioned, but it's also extremely important for all this is the Denver airport commissions a lot of different artists for pieces. So they're going to have a wide spectrum of styles and influences throughout the building.
It's no different than Charlotte. Charlotte has weird art pieces shop up all the time. Some of them are dumber than fuck.
Yeah, like I'll say we'll pull up another one here. It's a very long painting that kind of stretches down one of the aisles, trying to get to another one of your sections. And it's just a whole bunch of like rebuilding. You've got workers in hard hats pulling up large steel beams, guy walking up a ladder, looks like he's got some gear or something he's going to be taking up, a guy riding a horse, people working on a farm, so you just see like early development throughout the years.
That's the story of Denver.
Yeah.
That's why the Rockies are in the background. It's the story of the Old West changing into industrial society. So it's no different. It's basically, if I was to name it, it'd be the Conquering the West. That's what it would be called.
Yeah.
But that's probably why it was commissioned and why it was done. Hey, let me show you what Denver's about. This is what it was. It was an Old West place. It was dangerous. There was a lot about freedom, and then we created industry, and then we've changed it. And Denver, in all intents and purposes, is probably the most progressive city out of all the major cities. Probably the most progressive.
Probably. Yeah. Now that I'm kind of thinking, maybe Los Angeles.
No, Los Angeles is a crime-ridden shithole that God forgot.
But they're very progressive with their
They're
crime.
progressive in hell.
The terrified look on your face.
Them in New York could give a fuck. Okay, they're countries unto themselves. They have 30 different languages. Another thing of this is the Masonic. Well, I'm not going to call it Masonic. It is a tribute plaque that has a Masonic fucking sigil on it.
Yes,
but it's dedicated to all those who worked on the airport. And there are some quotes and things on there from the people that came about to make it. And what I don't think people realize is the Mason symbol and the symbol for most engineers and workers is the same fucking symbol.
Yeah.
So the square and the compass, the basic instruments of design are the same as the fucking Masons. So, and the Masons, fun fact, are probably the first union when it came to craftsmen. So it's a giant union sigil.
So the other thing that is kind of interesting though, I would hope that we get to see this in our lifetime, doing the quick math, says this timed capsule beneath the stone contains a message and memorabilia to the people of Colorado in 2094.
It's the dead body of the artist.
I'm just sitting here going, I was like, this is when all will be revealed, is in 2094.
They put a pack of double A's in a cassette player, and I'm like a giant Teddy Ruxpin. as soon as you click play, he fucking marionettes out of the time capsule and then like, this is where the Illuminati come from. I wish I could be right about that, because that would be fascinating.
I wish you could be too. That
Holy
would be
shit!
Great.
It's the architect of the airport and the artist.
Oh my god, yes.
Together in a fucking time capsule, strangling out a fucking lizard man.
Man, on both shows, you're really good at just giving segues, because there's also a little poster that the airport has, and it's of a green alien, big black eyes, traditional, holding up his finger to his lips, being like, shh. And it says, since the airport's opening in 1995, there have been endless rumors and theories. People say our underground tunnels lead to a secret meeting facility for the world's elite. The Blue Horse is thought to be cursed, and some believe we are connected to the New World Order, the Freemasons, and home to lizard people.
Yeah. So there's so much to unpack on that.
Yeah.
So you got the lizard people, the New World Order, which is just another conspiracy about the Jews. Lizard people too. Fun fact. That's where that ends. They all end with that. But this is kind of to compare it to what was really going on in the world, not just in the time of the building, but what goes on in the United States and other places. There are secret tunnels in the United States.
Secret tunnel!
Yeah. There are secret tunnels, and they were built because of in case of catastrophe. There was a underground railway built from Union Station to the Appalachian Mountains, from D.C. through the Shenandoah. in case of a nuclear fallout attack. But it was also built just in case World War II kind of went south for us. So, because Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast, it's right there next to the Atlantic. So we need a way to get, our leaders out of harm's way into a more secure area like the Shenandoah Valley or the Appalachian Mountains. Fun fact about the Rockies, the Rockies are very close to NORAD, which is, the place when it comes to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and military and nuclear facilities. So in the 90s, when the government is kind of being secretive about some weird shit, and the 90s was a great time for conspiracy, when information's coming out at that time, we're like, hey, there was a giant tunnel from DC to the mountains. Yes, there's a practical fucking reason for that. Yes, they were going to abandon DC in case, because that's what you fucking do. In a bunker somewhere. Okay, that's why they have things like bunkers. But yes, there are tunnels under the airport for slinging your luggage.
And for lizard people.
And probably for lizard people. And the Jews. And the Easter Bunny. And the gnomes that secretly work for Hitler Santa. It's like there's so much bullshit I can make.
Hitler Santa?
Yes, it's Krampus. With a tiny mustache. He beats kids with sticks. So there's so much bullshit you could just make up off the top of your head about general construction. And what I love is the people they get, the former construction workers who's like, oh no, I saw this, I saw that. And it's just like, no, you didn't. Someone paid you like $25 and a six-pack and just tell me a stupid fucking story. That's what it is.
Yeah, because most of the time, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the episode or if it was the beginning or off the air. Mm-hmm. But all the accounts that I see of like firsthand people trying to talk about it, it's exactly what you said. It seemed like disgruntled past associates that were just like, oh, I was part of maintenance. I was part of, the cleanup crew, and I only had access to levels 1 through 3. Levels 4 and 5 were strictly forbidden, and we weren't allowed in there. They must be hiding something.
Yeah. So this kind of goes parallel with the conspiracy of the moon landing.
Uh-huh.
There was roughly about 1,500 people that worked hard to get people on the fucking moon and to get those 3 guys back. You're telling me out of all those people, they said they had a pact said, yeah, if we faked it, we're never going to say anything about it ever. We could barely.
If you get paid and they know what the government's capable of, they'll snuff you out.
We could barely get people to shut the fuck up about being molested by fucking producers. Okay, so get the fuck out of here with that fucking shit. This is like 11,000 jobs, and you're telling me out of those 11,000 guys, we got what, 5 guys who said, yeah, I saw fucking lizard people. Come on now. All right, come on. Come on. Now, I love, I truly believe that once that third person enters a room, a conspiracy is formed. But like 11,000 jobs, you're telling me out of all those people that probably, the turnaround too, probably say like 12,000 conservatively, people had gone in and out of that airport on a daily fucking basis, 40 hours a week, and none of them were just like running out of the fucking bathroom and like, holy fucking shit, they're fucking eating popcorn and people by the lizard people. Oh my God. And it's just like, no, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Some of the truth, because of stuff like that, we end up missing out on the true stories of probably some poor fucker getting ate up by the fucking conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Hey, why can't we go in there? No, you guys don't understand. You just can't go in there. Yeah. You know why you can't go in there? Fucking Tim got his fucking arm ripped off, and there's blood all over like 40 different planes worth of fucking packages. That's why you can't go in there, you dumb fuck. Because there's blood everywhere. Jesus. And like a lot of this is like, you want to believe it, you want it to be true. Another part of the Denver airport, there is in the concrete, there are 2 sigils that look kind of like keystones, but they have the letters AU and AG. Those are just the chemical. Those are the chemical for silver and gold.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Colorado and Denver, it was set up as a silver and gold mining town.
Yeah.
So that's why it's fucking there. Not because it's some fucking hoard of silver and gold for the new age. It's not. It's not. There's not a giant dragon living under this hoarding gold. Okay, just shut the fuck up. Because when you say shit like, "Oh, they're hoarding gold," you're just saying Jew with more words.
Yeah, it's like I'm just kind of scrolling through here, and it's like construction or cover up. It's like that's literally their under construction sign.
Yeah, and so they're tackling it head on, and they're making it a joke, and it's a great idea. You know, can you imagine if other places kind of like emboldened this a little bit?
Yeah,
you know, just like on a funny aspect.
Yeah, here's another one in their little coming soon section. It says coming soon: A secret portal to the underworld, B streamlined security, or C another misunderstood mural.
Probably C.
So yeah, it is pretty funny, as you were mentioning earlier, how they are just kind of like tackling this head on.
Yeah.
Where does it seem like a lot of alien stuff kind of comes from for the airport?
So the great thing about the West is its vastness. And a lot of our, from Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, these big land states, aliens are prevalent everywhere. Especially, hey, what's that in the sky? And you know, we don't think about that here on the East Coast, especially here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because we have light pollution and we can't see the sky that they're seeing. So
We don't see no stars.
Yeah. We see stars, but we don't see the vastness of them. Like, let's say me and you were to go to Helena, Montana during the stargazing week, where all the lights are turned off at night, and you could see what the stars should really look like,
Right.
under the dome. But like, when you look at that, when you know, we've talked about it before, when you look at something that vast and you're like, yeah, we're not alone, your mind will wander. And when it comes to stuff like flights coming in and out, you know, it's just like, oh, that's a great way to sneak in a UFO. And then you have all the weird shit that did happen in fucking Nevada and stuff, where, you know, Area 51, which is a place to test new planes that you'll never see. The stealth bomber was tested that same way.
Yep.
Hey, there's a giant black triangle in the sky. Well, in the beginning, I bet that was the first design of the stealth bomber that you saw. Yeah, you probably did fucking see it. You probably shouldn't have seen it, and you probably should have shut the fuck up. So the United States could build like the most advanced fucking planes in the world, you know, for doing nasty shit.
I still love that. You probably shouldn't have seen it. You should shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Is it a weather balloon? No, it's never a weather balloon. It's a TikTok satellite. And, you know, that's going to add to it, you know, as we get older, you know, UAVs, you know, that is going to add to the conspiracy to things like the Denver International Airport. You know, we're going to see stuff in the sky that look like drones, but it's like, well, whose drone is it?
Yeah.
You know, that's going to add to that conspiracy in the future. And what I love is, because it's a subterranean level under a giant airport, which you don't think about. You know, why are they building giant subterranean things for an airport? It's just like, it's for safety, dumbass. It's a mile. They're in a mile high fucking city. You know, this is a large, right next to the Rockies.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe shut the fuck up. But that goes back into our Hollow Earth kind of thing, and we'll get to the lizard people hopefully by next week.
I was gonna say, we gotta have at least a little taste of the lizard people on this episode.
So I love. All right. So the thing about the lizard people is, it comes from Egypt.
Okay.
It starts in
That's
Egypt.
a very long tunnel.
Yeah, it's a very long tunnel. Well, it starts in Egypt because of their personification of animals. When you think of Egypt, you think of hieroglyphs. When you think of their gods, one has the head of an eagle, one has the head of a fucking hound, one has the head of an alligator, and stuff like that. And these are just symbols to associate them with what their godlike status was. And it's basically a headdress. If we were to look at it from a stance of Native Americans, no, they're wearing the head of an animal as a headdress, as some form of hierarchy, you know,
right.
Much like the Comanche would wear giant feathers in their headscapes and stuff like that. They would signify where they belong. So a war chief would have a full thing, but a scout would probably wear the head of a wolf or something like that. So when you start mixing that with other civilizations around there, like the Greeks, who say monsters fucking exist, because they probably saw some shit and thought, man, can you imagine if that was bigger? Like, yeah, I can, Aristotle. So yeah, like you're mixing all this stuff together because the common people are not going to be one thing. You know, me and you come from different backgrounds, but we do have common things, you know, going on. So if we were to think about putting them together, we could create our own ideas. And once you start doing that, you get stuff like the lizard people or aliens or the giant North American land sloth, which is another thing down the road.
I think I did see him down the road.
Yeah. I think it was a repo. You might know Tiki. But like with the lizard people, what's really cool is it's a whole group of people that were beset by man. You know, this goes into the other creatures that were beset by man, kind of like the Nephilim, the giants, the elder humans who came from another planet to conquer Earth. You know, your Sumerians, your Anunnaki, which are basically giant aliens. So like this just adds to the pantheon of characters. But the cool thing about lizard people is it's always they're plotting against us. They wear human skin. They look like us. Like, I get it, your fascination with reptiles. I get it. But if you talk to anybody that owns a bearded dragon, they'll tell you how fucking stupid they are. Like, they're just dumb.
So where does the Denver airport play into all of it?
So because of how far deep they dug down,
they found them.
They found them, yeah. So, but like the Colorado Rockies, compared to all the other mountains in the United States, are fairly new. The Appalachian Mountains aren't that big because they're old. Okay, they've eroded away. So like the new mountain range creates, you know, different types of terrain. So when you start digging down, you start getting into different type of terrain. And that's where silver and gold comes from. Well, when you start digging into these dark, damp areas, you're going to see like lizards, you're going to see snakes and shit like that. And I could imagine, you know, some poor guy huffing fucking silver dust is just like, yeah, there's probably lizard people down there fucking while we're digging. And it's just like, shut the fuck up, man. We're trying to eat lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the lizard people is a vast conspiracy going on to a whole different whole different episode. But
Right.
the origins of it are probably just fucking hallucinating and like just
lack of oxygen,
silver dust, fucking all kinds of stupid shit, just inhaling,
sulfur,
yeah, just fucking freaking out. And I imagine if I was a miner or a construction worker who's digging a giant complex underground that's going to be part of an airport, yeah, I'd probably fucking hallucinate too. You know, can you imagine, you know, you're 3 stories down in the ground, you know, you're putting up a steel beam or something like that, you're laying concrete, and then all of a sudden the power goes out for like 2 seconds, and you're just like, fuck, I just dug my own grave. Like you think, you think about that, you know, and it's just like the human mind wanders, and that's why we have all these fantastical things to talk about. Just like the Jersey Devil. Like,
yeah.
It's, you know, it flies. It was a woman who gave birth to a demon child. No, it's probably a kangaroo. I guess in my mind, it's probably a kangaroo that got loose in the United States.
Because a kangaroo could whoop your ass.
Yes, it's a giant rat that can box. I know this because I played that documentary game Tekken.
Yeah.
So, like, with the lizard people, yeah, I can kind of see it, but the bigger part of it is the Illuminati.
Yeah.
So the idea that there is a large cabal of individuals in charge of everything is even more hilarious that they all work out of Denver.
Especially when you put it in that context, yes.
Of all the things, of all the places, the rich elite people in the back kind of situation, you know, the plutocrats that we hear about, you know, these men that run everything, they're going to go to the city whose basketball team is the Nuggets.
It's where they'd be least expected, man.
Clearwater, Florida would be the least expected places. That armpit of the fucking universe.
The dick of the USA.
The dick of the USA. The people that were the place where they just outlawed COVID-19 vaccines almost. So, don't worry, they'll die off quick. But yeah, like, see, the Illuminati part of it is really more fascinating, is because of, it kind of goes back into that budget thing I was talking about. You know, you're going to spend close to $1 billion on a new airport. Well, why is it $3 billion? You know, and it's a lot of money to be spent on something that, going back to what we said earlier, can't house as much planes, can't handle the traffic. Has all these weird, symbolic
signs and imagery.
Yeah, it's just a little too convenient not to be a conspiracy, and that right there.
And you put your logo on it.
And what's even better is too convenient not to be a conspiracy is literally one of those wrong statements that are just so fucking wrong. It's just like, oh my God, how fucking dumb do you gotta be? And I can make up conspiracies all fucking day. I can. But whoever made this one up is the shit. It's like the Stephen Hawking of fucking conspiracy theorists, because you know who it was? It was probably a guy who lived in a neighborhood near where they're going to build. And they're like, yeah, we're going to build a highway behind your backyard. God fucking damn it. And it's like weeks of just like typing hate mail and like sending it. Because it's the 90s. He's only got the one blog in 2000. And it's just like, it's not going anywhere. He's on E-Bombs World just fucking comment blasting shit about the fucking airport on like videos of Mickey Mouse or some shit. And like, this guy is just
Step a horse.
Yeah, this guy's just some hate monger who's just tired of all the traffic and the noise because he's too lazy to fucking move.
Kids, get off my lawn.
Yeah, the kids get off my lawn, guy. Yeah, it's that. It's that. That's where this all came from. It's fucking Illuminati. It's all this bullshit. The Illuminati and their peanut butter, and like it's fucking awful. And with that whole time, another thing is weird is the time capsule thing.
That is weird.
So it's set.
Like, I get it for Nickelodeon. You put a bunch of kids shit in there. You crack it open years later. You got a whole bunch of mint 90s shit. That's kind of cool. This doesn't make as much sense. Why are we opening a time capsule for an airport?
It's because of the structure and significance it is in travel, because it is the next progression, because it is an international airport. It's something big, and I can understand why they do it, because colleges do it all the time. Some institutions, hospitals have done it, and I think they're fascinating. They are. But in the time of the internet, I can't see the idea of doing time capsules again, starting, from 2005. I can't see even like, oh, these guys got together and created a time capsule. It's just like, you could have wrote it down in a blog and saved it.
Time capsule's now an unpublished YouTube video.
That's scheduled to launch.
Yeah.
Or what are those cell phones that you could schedule to send a text message?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, that's all it is. That's all it fucking is. And I do like the older time capsules when they talk about, hey, there's one from like 1935. Yes, let's see what these weird motherfuckers wrote. And all I hope that is just like shit from 1994 when they crack it open.
Yeah,
that they could just read about today on the internet. Like,
that's all the Nickelodeon one was. And here's what I always find confusing about time capsules. Why are you going to announce what's in the time capsule? Doesn't that completely negate it? Because that piece of information will be passed down through generations. So even the generation that's going to be opening it could look up the information and be like, oh, there's a Slinky, there's a Yo-Yo, there's a Playboy, there's a pack of gum.
The main significance of time capsules are the letters that are wrote in them. Hopes for the future. That's a big part of time capsules when they open them up. Yes, there are toys or newspapers of the time. Hey, what was going on in 1845 in Cincinnati? And it's like, but also in the backdrop of all those are letters from people who are from that time and have hopes, and like, I hope that when you find this, the world's in a better standing place. And that's always a bright, hopeful thing. We used to do that shit in high school. When I was a freshman in high school, we wrote a letter to our senior selves. And when we graduated, our teacher would give it to us. And I remember writing it. I don't remember what's on it, but I would fucking love to read it.
I know, right?
But you know what I'm saying? That's the significant. That's
only future Chris.
But like, that's only 4 years, But that's you're reading, the hopes and life and dreams of someone from that time you would never meet.
Yeah.
Because that's the great thing about time capsules. They're 100, 200, 300 years in the future of when they're cracked open. A great thing about this, another version of a time capsule, is the Georgia Guidestones, which will be a whole new episode.
I really want to do an episode on that.
So that was, the whole thing is a benchmark for society if bombs come down. It was a guide on how to create civilization all over again. And that's all. It's like a giant Rosetta Stone, but fucking conspiracy theorists out of Georgia decided to bomb the son of a
The
bitch.
multilingual app?
Yeah.
Rosetta Stone?
Rosetta Stone. And I bet you money half our, like, I know people who don't even know what the Rosetta Stone is. And I'm just like, I'm going to strangle the fuck out of you. but that
Chris threatening violence against his listeners again.
keep listening. And then, if you haven't listened to our Couch Potatoes episode, there's now, I'll go ahead and call it the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult Pro-Am Invitational, where you contact me, you come here. I will be off work long enough for you to come here and talk about a conspiracy. Please come by. Hit me up directly.
You already have one person already hit you up.
I got one. I got 3 now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's going to be, might be a bi-weekly fucking episode. As many as we're going to have backstock. So,
Well, is there anything left for the Denver airport that we've not covered?
not so much about the Denver airport, but about Denver itself. Denver itself is culturally significant in a big way. We're big fans of South Park. Trey Parker and Matt Stone went to high school a little further south in Columbine, Colorado, which is a suburban area of Denver. So Columbine High School is there. Another significant is that's what South Park's based off, this little redneck podunk town in south of Denver.
Yeah.
Another part of it is, the Colorado Rockies. A lot of famous shit comes out of Denver. We talk about famous stuff come out of everywhere, but significantly, Denver is probably the most modern thing west until you get to LA. Between LA and Denver, when you think about civilization in the Americas and how significant it is, there's nothing in between them. And it kind of holds a benchmark in, American progression going west,
Right.
in a positive light, not so much Trail of Tears way, but like in a positivity way. It is, the benchmark for, the United States when that was created, and where we've gone from there is a great aspect and progress, especially not just the airport, but in the city itself. And,
Right.
the way they've been able to run things, and we can kind of use it as a test marker. Like, hey, if it works in Denver, maybe we could try it in Charlotte. Maybe we can try it in, Richmond or, some of these other cities. And it's a great conspiracy altogether, but
It is.
when you kind of step back and look at it as a factual thing, which I love to do anyway, it kind of gives you kind of a little hope for the future a little bit, because I want to crack that fucking box open myself and go to jackhammer and a bunch of conspiracy theorists to raid the Denver airport before the FBI stops me.
Well, that's what I was getting at. It's like, we might actually reach the age to be able to see it, because
God, that would be awful. God, I would be 105.
bro, with the way technology and health,
You know how many organs I would have to steal from the young?
I know you'd be proud every single time.
Just me, fee, fi, fo, fo.
Where's my child? I need an organ.
Where's my lung? Yes, God damn. Just be a little bit more human Frankenstein as we progress.
Well, I think that is a really
Yes.
good spot to end this one out on, because that was
Yeah.
a good one.
Well, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you, Alex, for subbing in again. Like I said, open invitation to anyone who wants to get on here, but you got to come to North Carolina and do it.
You got to come to the lair.
Yeah, you got to come to the house. Come to the house. I'll feed you. But yeah, thank you again for coming. We will be trying to pump these out a little bit more regular as we come on. Check out the Couch Potatoes and our new format on that. We are trying to be as regular scheduled as possible. We are trying to work around schedules.
Yeah, both of us had to get our houses in order money-wise and
Yes.
jobs and everything. So it's like, now we're getting into the flow of
Yeah.
the new job. So it's just like, okay, we're just like, all right, the week or two of the jobs have passed. We'll figure it out. Because we basically got new jobs basically in the same week.
Yeah. And any ideas you want us to cover, please let us know. If you don't want to come on the podcast, that's fine. But we are open to new ideas, topics to talk about.
Yeah, let us know in the Discord. And Chris has even got his new travel blog segment in there. So that's fun. But yeah, let us know in the Discord in the Cryptic Conspiracy Cult section what stuff you want Chris to cover. And I'll make sure he does it, damn it.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great day.